Hi, this is Joe at Macro Builders. I want to show you a project I just completed for a client. He had to basically put together two tables. One is a table of CRM information. He wanted to join that with another table of client rep information, and he has a way to match them based on the fields that are available in both files. So you can see it's two very large tables. The first one is 260,000 rows long. And the second table of the rep information is 485,000 rows long. So you can see it's two very large pieces. So he had originally attempted to do this on his own. He created a key and he tried doing this through a VLookup and he couldn't get it to work. So he called me up and he said, is there any way I can join these two together? Well, this is sort of a database operation, which databases are built to do, but he wanted to do it in Excel because that's how he gets the data. So I said, let me think of how I might be able to approach it. So I created this series of macros, three macros, which I'm calling the Power VLookup. So it works on the same concept as VLookup, but it runs via a macro. It does not use the VLookup command. So it runs in three separate macros. The first macro builds the keys for the different tables, and the second macro builds an index, a search index of the same two tables, and the index is based on a country number. So what I want to do is run you through it, and I'll pause it because some of it takes a while. But before we get to it, I tried running this as a VLookup on my machine, started it off, 9.5 hours later it canned and showed no results. So what I'm going to do is run the same application as I tried to do with the function VLookup using the applications I created called a Power VLookup, so you can see the difference. So first I'm going to go to the second tab and I'm going to build the first the key, and then I'm going to after that build the indexes. So the macro to build the key takes about 4 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll start it. You'll see it going down, so it builds like 10 of the keys visibly, and then it turns off the screen so it runs faster. And I'll pause it then and come back when it's done. So first I'm going to run the key program for the customer or for the rep information. So you can see the first 10 are there, and now it's continuing to run. So I'm going to pause the recording and I'll be back in 4 minutes when it's done. So you can see it's done now. You can have we have all the keys down to the bottom of the table. It ran for a little less than 3 minutes. So now I'm going to run the macro that builds the indices. So first thing it does is it sorts this by the country number, which it looks like it's already sorted, but it'll try sorting it again, and then it'll build the basically for each country number what the starting row is and what the ending row is. So let's go ahead and start that now. That only takes a few minutes or a few seconds, so I'll just stay with you. Okay, sort's done, and there it builds the index. So you can see country 103 runs from row 9 through row 12,402, and that took basically 15/100ths of a minute to run. So I have this done, so let's go back to the query data and do the same thing. So first I'm going to run the key builder, and it's going to build in this column here. So let's start there. So I press 1, and I will probably pause this because again this will take at least a couple minutes to get through 260,000 lines of code. Here we go. So it started. I'll pause and come back in a couple minutes. So you can see this one finished in a little bit, around a minute and a half. We've got the keys made. So the next step here is to build the indices for this table over here. So let's start that. That won't take very long, so we'll stay with you while it's running. There it goes. And that took less than a minute. So now we have these built. The next thing is to run the processor. Remember I said that the VLookup never completed this in 9.5 hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it so when it does do the VLookup, it looks for the country number of where we are, like 358 here, and then it loads the basically into an array the rep information for country 358 and does a search on the keys that we made. So I sped it up by also loading. I could do a comparison to one, so you notice it's the first 4 of these are the same, so that if I have a repeating key instead of searching the database, I just pulled from the first occurrence. So I know I've run this a few times, so you won't see anything going in here because the first matches are down at I think row 608 or something, or in country 608, but I'll show you the results at the end. So this takes, a little while to run, a lot less than 9.5 hours, but the other thing it does is it pumps out the data as it's running compared to um, the VLookup, which presents the results all at once. So what happens is the results will be able to know how far it is. I have a status down here on the screen, so it shows you what country it's working on, how many are located in this table, how many are located in the other table, and what progress it's making through it. So let's start that up here. So you can see it's processing country 359. It starts running through them, and when it gets to one that it finds the country number in the other table, it'll give us some additional information. So let's wait a minute or two. It'll be three numbers, basically how it's processing here, how many columns or how many rows are here, and how many are in the other ones. Here we have 3818 out of 31607, so it's processing through them. It's at level 1500. So I'm going to pause this and I'll come back when it's done and show you the results. So it's just finishing up, and this at the bottom. It's 97,000 into 97,990. So it should finish up in just a few minutes. And I'll show you the results. So there's not a one-to-one correspondence here, so we don't see any results here, but we'll see them. So you notice it took 42 minutes to run versus stopping at 9.5 hours using VLookup. So you can see it's a lot more efficient. And if we just click over here, no, it's still catching up. Doing an autosave. Okay, so if I do a control down, you can see now that it's picked up some of the data from the other spreadsheet and applied it to the customers where there's matches based on the key. So you can see how this is a lot better than using a VLookup. If you have similar applications and would like help, also before we end, so here it found 29,000 matches. It ran in 42 minutes and it did 131 million compares versus 126 billion compares possibly. So it's about a tenth the number of the compares. So that you can see that's why it took about a tenth of the time of a VLookup. So if you have similar applications or issues and you would like help with them, don't hesitate to contact me at this email address, joe@macrobuilders.com, and we can talk. Have a good day. I'll see you. Bye.